Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're again joined by Derek Bittner and special guest Ash Paulson from Game On to discuss all the news from this past week for Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. So let's get started. Alright guys, so this week is pretty interesting because it started off as being not interesting at all, then it picked up with a couple of interesting details, then it ended the slam dunk with the announcement that Ike is returning to the battle. Now, we already had an entirely Ike-focused discussion, so we're not going to talk about him here. But we do have a link to that discussion in the description below. So if you want to listen to it, please get that link. There's some good stuff there. So otherwise, we're going to start off with Monday here. And this is, as I mentioned, really uneventful. Where we get a look at Little Mac's final smash being Giga Mac. And there's absolutely no new details here as far as I can tell. But what is kind of cool or kind of cute here is that Sakurai writes a comment that goes with it. Basically as if it were a log in Captain Olimar's journal, who also appears in the screenshot, basically describing Giga Mac as this, creature that he encountered in the wild. So, yeah, not much to say, but I think it's cool he did it this way, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the best thing about this comment is easily Sakurai's kind of childlike sense of humor. I love these cheeky comments from him sometimes. And this is just kind of one of those things. The screenshot itself, it's almost lifted directly from Little Mac's reveal trailer.
Right.
So, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about there. But yeah, the comment's really fun.
Yeah, it is cute. It is show off Sakurai's humor, and you can tell he just loves his creations and what he's doing. But then on the other hand, there is no new details. There's not really much to say about this. It's Giga Mac and it's Olimar, and it's nothing really much to say. So on one hand, it is fun and cute, but on the I always like to hear more information, especially now that we got Ike. I'm like, okay, I really want more information.
All right, and speaking of new information, there actually is none, so I don't know why I'm saying that, because Tuesday's picture also has nothing new, really. We just get an up-close look at the assist trophy, which we've already talked about a ton before, in the form of the actual assist trophies that can appear, but we haven't really talked about the item itself. So the only new thing that we do learn about slightly is that Sakurai clarifies that you may see rainbow-colored lights emit from the trophy itself, and you may even see the character inside blink. And that's really the thing to take away from this, is just how detailed this thing is, and that's something we were seeing across the board in Smash Bros. Wii U, and the 3DS version. It's just how detailed everything is, and this trophy looks great compared to the Brawl one, even having the little figure inside. Although I will say he looks a little bit creepy to me.
Well, he does kind of remind me of the guy from Limbo.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say the same thing. That's funny.
Yeah. Just creepy little kid in there, but no, I think it calls back to the whole idea that Sakurai's had ever since the beginning of trying to make things much more easily recognizable.
Right.
And the original assist trophy was just sort of bland. It was just a little jar. You found it. Yeah, you kind of knew what to look out for eventually, but it wouldn't stand out if things got too hectic. This one with it, the rainbow-colored lights or the guy blinking, which I don't know how that'll attract your attention, but just the idea, and just even the green glow, you're not going to miss this assist trophy, and it's going to be something people will go for immediately.
I think it looks noticeably better.
All right, so let's move on to a picture that actually has something new. In fact, two pictures, and that's on Wednesday. When Sakurai says something kind of interesting, or reveals something kind of interesting, and that's the fact that some characters, they will no longer have their back facing to the camera. Instead, they'll now actually basically always face the camera. Kind of like Mickey Mouse's ears. If you watch the cartoons, his ears always face the camera. And they're basically doing that with the characters here, with a lot of them, in fact. So, I don't know, this is kind of weird, because this is something no one noticed really before, even though you can see it in some earlier media, I think you can even see it in the Direct itself. It's kind of a cool detail, that they're putting that much detail into it, but conversely, it's something that never bothered me before. I was playing Brawl just before this, before this discussion, and I had noticed that, that Mario does, in fact, his back faces, away from you. So I guess it's kind of neat that you're always seeing their more iconic side, for the most part. But then again, what kind of bugs me a little bit is that it's not consistent with all the characters. In fact, I think, with Lil Mac, we can see that he faces away, and several other characters that do the same.
It's kind of something I don't think I ever would have noticed if Sakurai hadn't kind of, made a whole update about it.
Right.
But, I mean, it does, again, just go to show the insane attention to detail that's going into this game. But at the same time, I'm kind of like you, Andre. I like kind of having things uniform and having things all the same. So having a few characters that don't kind of adhere to this mirroring rule is a little strange. I mean, I get why. So, like Little Mac, of course, his punches are dependent on what arms what arm he's using. That makes sense, and I think we've seen it in Zero Suit Samus. She doesn't have mirroring either. And of course, I think we'll see the same for, say Link and Toon Link, because he's always depicted as left-handed.
Right.
So, but it is kind of weird. I think I would have been fine with them just kind of keeping the brawl style and having each character's back face toward the camera when they're facing left.
Yeah, I mean, it is a detail that normally you wouldn't notice. I mean, I certainly didn't, but now that I do see the effort that they put into it, I do kind of like it. I do like what they're doing here and trying to put, literally the best foot forward and trying to show that detail and really show off these characters. I mean, even he even mentions how tedious of a task this was for his team, but I mean, he really feels like this shows off these specific characters quite well, and I can't argue with them. I mean, they do look good standing there. I guess the only other thing I took away from this is that this is the first time we got to see the other color schemes for the characters. I mean, we got all the classic ones, of course, from Mario, Kirby, and Bowser, but this is the first alternate color we've seen for Greninja. Right. And what I always found interesting, like, as soon as I saw that color, I was like, oh, okay, I'll take a look and see what a shiny version is. And turns out it's black. I didn't know that, since I've never gotten a shiny in my life. But yeah, he's just a black-colored Greninja, which looks kind of cool, especially since he is a ninja. But I always thought it would be kind of cool when I thought of that, if he actually did put forth the extra effort, and if it is a black one, it does become out looking shiny, which I thought would be a really cool detail, if he decides to do it or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that, particularly with, seeing these different forms some characters will have, like the Villager and Wii Fit Trainer. I think that makes complete sense, particularly as we've seen things like that before in past Smash Brothers games, like how Pikachu gets trucker hats in Brawl.
Yeah.
So I could see them adding that little detail. It would be cool to do that.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of character colors, Thursday's picture reveals something new too, and that's the fact that when playing on teams, your characters will now get an outline that matches your team color. So in past games, when you chose a character, let's say Kirby, for instance, if Kirby's normally pink, if you're on the red team, he'd become red, or if you're on the blue team, he'd be blue, or he'd be tinted in that color. So they're no longer doing that, and instead are replacing the 3DS's black outline with a colored version. And I think this is ultimately a good change. It always made it always looked a little bit odd to me, tinting all the characters, and tinting them entirely to match the team color. So I think this is a great idea. It makes the characters look truer to themselves, while also making them really stand out, at least just as much, in my opinion.
I think this has changed this unilaterally for the better. I always thought that the characters looked a little weird when they were the same color on a team. It just seemed a little forced and unnatural. I think having the characters look how they normally do with colored outlines is a much better alternative. And I assume that the same will go for the Wii U version, because Sakurai doesn't say anything to the contrary. So, and even though with 3DS version we know the character outlines are optional and you can set their thickness, I imagine for team battles this will not be optional. It'll be the same thick colored outline no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case, I think. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense to have it be this way in the 3DS version and not have that level of choice in the Wii U version, because I think this all does come down to choice, where people like having certain costumes or colors for the characters, and to take that away during team battles always kind of suck, because you're so used to looking at that character in that certain color that I lost myself easily when I played the very few times I played team battle. So yeah. I think this is just a much better solution to that idea. Now, whether I'll actually play Team Battle again, we'll see.
Yeah, Team Battle is not my preferred way of playing Smash, so this really doesn't affect me that much, but it is a good change. It's a smart one, and yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Alright, well, that wraps up our Smash Brothers discussion. Again, there was an Ike, update on Friday, but make sure to check out that discussion if you want to hear our thoughts on that, which you can find a link to in the description below. Otherwise, if you like this video, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to also in the description below. So it's a good way to keep up to date with everything we post, like our Ike discussion. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.